emotions control me. Emotions are the sum of my life experience. Emotions are real, which is the distraction. And then you put them into effect and you let them roll out. And what that does is you take anger. Anger will draw right from your field, right from your liver channel, and it will transmute itself into this static haze of turmoil that is now put out into the field that then will be replicated. And the replicating effect within the universe is that it draws from your field. So it's now going out there to find something equal to or greater than, which is, the old expression, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you're looking for, because you will find it. Hi, guys. Welcome to the channel. On today's podcast, we're going to go over the inner workings of consciousness, of perception, of your reality, and how emotions affect your perception of your reality and how they have a place in your simulation of your experience of consciousness. And that will be paralleled to Taoist practices as opposed to just your humanist experience. And don't forget to stay to the end of the video where we go through an exercise that will blow your mind. Thanks again for coming and enjoy the video. Welcome to the consciousness of the way. My divine, delectable co-host, High Priestess Jade.
Welcome.
Welcome, welcome. Howdy doody.
Howdy doody. Feels good to be back.
Frosty Thursday, Thursday, Friday, whatever day it is. There's nothing more profound than when you realize, you ask yourself, what day is it? And you have no idea. That means that you are embracing what this pure consciousness is, being in the present moment, enveloping yourself in this high level of awareness that is the humanist, that is your experience of heaven on earth. And I'm your conscious, humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Quinn. Well, what do we have here? An incredible podcast with the one and only High Priestess Jade. And what do you think we might be talking about today? Something a little strange. I've never thought of that before. Consciousness.
Ooh.
Yes, it's a quite an interesting thing. Every day that we always lean on our teachers, as we have hundreds of them here within our lineage, within our temple. And one of my profound mentors and teachers being Latsu, or Jade Emperor, Ling Bao, highest purity, Jade purity, supreme purity, all individual, all collective, all transmutations of the higher consciousness that is the Tao, the mother of all things. So what we're talking about today is a deeper understanding of what that really means. Your perception of your reality. And, are you in a simulation? Are you playing the game of life by the rules? Or are you a rule breaker? Because if you are playing by the rules, you are surely mistaken. If you are a rule breaker, as you realize and demystify and come to a level of awareness that gives you an understanding that this is all a fallacy, that the misdirection that you are perceiving is the emotional content in of itself. So what does that really mean? Sifu, what does that mean? You talk about the way 126 and how it masters your emotions as the first level. This is very correct. the simulation from a consciousness level, from a universe level, from a Tao level, is that you're being misdirected by the emotional content. The emotions in of itself are the distraction. This is a simulation that human beings, humanists, the idea of the human condition, will limit you from your true potential, your true essence, and who you really are. So when you look at this as a foundational point of understanding, that the emotional content is the distraction, the emotional content is the manipulation, the emotional content is what will limit you from being conscious, limit you from being aware of who you really are. This is a groundbreaking epiphany for most people when they understand that. So we always want to start with the mastery of something as simple as that, because people have their simulation is quite simple: thought, feeling, and emotion, encapsulated in all things. That is the very essence of everything that you do. In the next second, 5 minutes ago, 3 hours later, this is your reality, and you are the barometer of that with these three ingredients. And so when you understand that human beings are using these emotions as what they perceive as holding them within this duality. Oh, see if my head is starting to explode. Hey, we have to start somewhere. Whether you're a 126 or whether you're a regular on the app, on our channel, familiar with our material, or this is the first time you've seen it, this is a great baseline for you to start to really immerse yourself in the truth, because Jade and I will remind you your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with, and in essence is the foundation of all things. Moreover, we have, introduction to many different levels of consciousness on a second by second, minute by minute basis, whether it's our teachers, whether someone just wants to stop by and say hello, just i.e., for example, a very interesting character. She's quite bubbly and cheeky and quite polarizing when she wants to be, and then very introspective and contracting when she wants to be, if she allows herself to simulate this human being experience. I had the pleasure of entertaining Dolores Cannon for many days now. She's just coming in and hanging out. And, once we have a chat with Latsu, and we're just breaking bread, literally doing just that, sharing these incredible insights into what consciousness is and where it has led her within her own journey and her, very, very short-lived humanness that was in this lifetime, having recently passed away in the last 10 years. What an incredible thing that is, being breaking away from the physical body and immersing themselves in a high level of consciousness, which really is a validation of the old, oh my goodness, I can't believe how bright it is. And this is what happens to so many people that go through their journey not being aware of this due to the very construct of their reality. So how you frame out everything, why we always talk about the truth is only what you believe, your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with, because that is the beginning and end of your simulation. That is the beginning and end of all things that you know to be true, and that will create the construct of how you perceive things. And that is the most important thing when it comes to raising that consciousness, raising that awareness, accessing a 3 to 4 to 5D experience, being able to palpate and master your attention, intention, and move the energy any way you want, transmuting it from light to wave to particle to matter, all realized with your attention, intention. So if you say the old expression, life is hard, well, life will be hard. If you say life is easy, life will be easy. What's another example? See if you give me another one. Give me one more. I'll give you another one. If you are constructed with the idea in your mind, which is not yours. All thoughts of your mind are not yours. Blammo. And then you go to the next page where you've digested that, processed that, accepted that as a knowing by feeling it, because everything that I say within this podcast, everything that Jade says within this podcast, every minuscule amount of material that comes from the space that we call the Way 126 in any social media form, or whether you're doing one of our apps, our training program, whatever it is, you will come to realize that it's infused with an energy, frequency, vibration. And so instantly you will have access to this level of ascension that has come from generations before us, tens of thousands of years, and we are just the catalyst and conduit of that. So you bring this forward and you go, okay, how do I perceive things? Here's another example. Sifu, one more example. Give me another example. Okay. If you believe that you walk under a ladder and on the other side of it, you're going to receive $1 million. That's exactly what's going to take place. If you believe that you walk under a ladder and you have now set off a trickling, a rippling effect that transcends into 3 bad things, because this is generally the mother's tale, the fallacy that goes on. Well, it's not really a fallacy. Let's just say, if you believe it, it's going to become your reality. And that's how quickly the rippling effect is. That's how quickly, because the universe operates in the present moment. The Tao operates in the present moment. It's a culmination of past and present and future all together at this moment. That's why we talk about the gift is your offering. The gift is your offering. Your offering is your gift. Your gift is the present moment. The present is your gift. Now, when you start to really palpate that, and when we speak on this stuff and it ripples out and you're like, my goodness, I can feel that energy, holy moly, you're blowing my mind, Sifu, Jade. It's because it's resonating with you. The inner workings, the understanding of the foundation of your DNA comes from words, letters, numbers, symbols, all integrated deep within you. That is an expression of who you are. That is an expression of the universe. You are a lens. Your physical body is a lens of this experience. And so consciousness is all things. It doesn't start and end in here. The real truth teller comes from here. The truth teller comes from here. This is the maestro, the conductor of all things. This is the projector. Understanding these, as you may for the first time have heard them, you start with a concept, and these are the 5 layers of awareness that Lao Tzu teaches us, which is concept, consciousness, knowing, unconscious knowing, and then being one with all. Oh. And that gradient of change is like taking your consciousness button, and every time you move through the next phase, you turn the dial up, which creates a level of awareness. And the energetic shift is second to none. That's why we talk about the feeling. The feeling is the be-all and end-all, the only thing you need to be concerned with. That puts you in a state of knowing. Then the simplicity, the humanness, that is what you have perceived as your personality, which would operate in what you would perceive as your brain, your mind, which makes you become thinking, compartmentalizing, which is not knowing. When you are knowing, you are feeling, and that becomes instantaneous. That's why all these things resonate with you right now. You are listening to us because that's doing the very thing that is registering your reality.
Yeah, I mean, consciousness is just about perspective. And so, you can have these moments. A classic moment is like when you grow up as a kid and your parent tells you something, I don't want you staying out after 10. And you're like, what do they know? Who cares? And then, you grow up and you have a child and you're like, oh, I have a different perspective now. I don't want my kid staying out after 10. Or you all of a sudden that dynamic has shifted, and however you perceive that consciousness in that moment has completely changed because you have perspective added into the mix where you can look at it in a different viewpoint now. Now I'm the parent looking at it as the child, keeping them safe or keeping them out of harm or whatever it may be. And that it's the same, you still reflect back on that moment. You still had that moment, but now you have a different perspective on it, and it changes the whole thing. That is consciousness. That is that opening, whether it's time that gives you that perspective, whether it's you just awakening yourself that gives you that perspective. That's all it is. And so many times, we reiterate the same thing over and over again in a different way, but the way you hear it, because you have a different perspective or you have that different shift, just opens your consciousness all the time. We could sit here and probably do the same podcast every single day, and the more you would listen to it, the different it would sound, the more things you would hear, the more things that you would get that feeling from. And, whether we just continue to say the same things or different things, that is your consciousness just opening, evolving, and awakening.
Booyah. And that's a great observation, Jade. Is like we always lean on, our ancient text, our ancient scripture, which is so powerful. And more recently, I had a student to the temple, and he went over the podcast. He was like, my goodness, I could read the Tao Te Ching 1,000 times, and I have personally, and it's never the same. I could read the same, and this is part of morphing and shifting and changing your level of consciousness. And so the profound part is you get to measure that and you realize that, and the more sensory perception you have, the more you become attuned to higher levels. And so the biggest fallacy is your emotions. This is a construct of the universe, of the Tao, of the mother of all things, that is set forth to create a limitation so that you can slowly microdose your realization. See, what are you saying, Sifu? Well, depending upon where you're at in your reincarnation, where you're at in your next life, right, that's being presented within this humanist, this physical body right now, can be determined by slowing the brakes or removing the brakes by how you perceive your reality. What does that mean? Well, that means that when the emotions are the distraction under all circumstances. So, you have different gradients of things that will become awareness. Most people make the mistake of going, I need love. Love will get me one with the universe. All things, everything will be all-knowing. Now, that is specifically a subjective state for the very reason that human beings manipulate that state for their own gain or profit. And so that universal word is so well worn out and manipulated as one of the toolbox pieces that you use within the emotional state that is the deception, that is the manipulation. Sifu, you're getting me all overwhelmed here. Well, the next phase of that is once you have elevated and started with a baseline, and you're using this word because it will start out as a word, love. Love is everything. I can love love thy neighbor. And I think that's in reference to perhaps an excerpt from the Bible. I'm not sure, but it's very familiar. Wouldn't you say? It's very familiar that you've heard this expression before many times over, whether you've read the Bible or not, and I've never read the Bible consciously in this lifetime, but I'm pretty sure intuitively that it has come from the Bible. Love thy neighbor. This is, again, a construct of manipulation from a humanist perspective. So how do we shift gears from this, Sifu? Okay, well, you level up. There's 3 stages of how you move from the emotional content into a true state of being. And so once you've navigated through the understanding that love is a manipulative state as or emotions, you then shift into what we call gratitude. Now that's a whole different, and you can, in that subsection of that would be, you know, appreciation, a value. And then it can be more tailored to your individual human experience that can give you a resonation that validates you as an individual, as a singular, as a collective. And so that can be more tangible because it's now something that is tailored to your own experience. What do you value? What are you grateful for? Now that evokes an alchemical response that is upward of 1,500 chemicals that have been created in your physical body that will elevate your ascension almost immediately, because you're creating that synchronization that's necessary, that starts with a physical into a mental, emotional, into an energetic, and ultimately opening the gateway to the spiritual. So you're on the right track. And then finally, once you've wet your feet in that space, it's still a state, it's still an emotion. You come to a place of all knowing, which is accepting everything as is, being all with one. And it's like a hop, skip, and a jump. Ooh. That's kind of interesting. Ever heard that expression before? So you the first telltale signs of where you are at your own simulation is you are in the weeds of identifying that emotions are you. Then we get to the next stage. We go from emotions, we start to identify that. That's why the way 126 is so powerful. It's instantaneous. You can go, boom, I'm going from emotions straight into realizing that by acquiring this conscious level, which we use it with a visual, audible experience, creating that kinesthetic charge, validating you as confirming the experience as a human being, because once you feel it, you know it. Once you feel it, you know it. So now we have this stage of awareness. So you get into that knowing, right? And so by mastering your emotions using the way 126, you're able to point at your emotions and say, excuse me, good boy, sit over there, stay, and if I give you a treat, I'll get you to roll over and play dead. Excuse me, Sefer, what are you talking about? I'm talking about understanding the deeper realization that you are all things. And the emotions that are a simulation, that are the distraction, that are part of the regulation that the universe has put before you. Oh, my brain is hurting, Sifu. Yeah. But this is part of the process that's necessary for you to upgrade yourself from identifying as you or identifying as the universe. Because that profound shift opens everything. You are now all things.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to understand too. When we're going over this and talking about the mastery of emotions, we're not saying to be emotionless. We're not saying you don't ever have to feel anything again. We're saying that you have the choice and it's an option to choose which emotions you want to express. So you're no longer, if someone cuts me off on the freeway, I have to react. I have to get angry. I have to feed my energy into them. I have to follow them. That's a choice. You don't have to do that. And by mastering these emotions, you get to make that decision. Do I find this valuable to get that upset and then ruin the rest of my day, my week, put me in a horrible state? And you can, and some people still choose, yeah, I want to do that. And then some people go, let me think about that for a second. No, you know what? I can let it go. I can move on, and I don't have to give that person my energy, or I don't have to feed into that emotion. I'm no longer subjected to feeling controlled by it. I can choose to just be happy and go, oh, that person's just having a day today. And that's the whole point. It isn't this like kind of a monk state where you are just stone faced and you never feel anything. Your mastery of your emotions is being able to, like you said, choose which ones you want. I want to feel gratitude today. I don't want to feel resentment. I want to feel happiness today. I don't want to feel anger. Every time this person calls me, I get this rage coming on, and oh wait, I can think about the way 126, and all of a sudden I shift out of that and I'm in control of what is going on within my body. It's not controlling me, and I'm just living in this reactive simulation all the time before I wake up and I go, I'm so exhausted. I just feel like, the life's been sucked out of me all day. Yes, your emotions did a great job at that.
Right. And, Jade makes a really good point. Understanding and identifying the difference of these things, it comes right back to what we speak of, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And then understanding that, be very clear, this is a direct message from, the Tao, Lao Tzu, the emotions are the distraction. So this is a higher level of consciousness and could be conceptual to you at this moment. But the fact that it is being presented to you is the seed of awakening. That's all it takes for you to replicate and change your state. And you will have the epiphany, the aha moment going, whoa, I did get what they were saying. And then bing. So when you are emotionless, which is not what we're speaking of, and this suppression, because that's really identifying it's a suppression of something. When you are wu-wei, which is in definition effortless action, you are in flow of all things, then you access what we call the wu-ji, which is the stillness between the breath in and the breath out, which is yin and yang. That is all things. That is the Tao, the mother of all things. And you are right there, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies. When you access that stuff, profound things take place. And it's all sort of like a mechanism of awareness. The first point is emotions don't control you, you control your emotions. Second point is emotions are a distraction. They are part of the simulation because there has to be a level of homeostasis. We are all on our own expression and journey of consciousness, and our reincarnation will determine that by how we perceive our reality. So there will be moments where not everyone will be at the same stage of consciousness in this reincarnation. Understand that, know that to be true, and then all of a sudden you can move through your day knowing that the expression of an individual is that and that alone, which is just another fragment or a fractal pattern within the seamless reality that is the consciousness that you would perceive as 0 point energy, which is the Tao. And so these are the sort of mechanisms that we need to help enter into your consciousness, offer as a gift of awareness, and have you receive it and contemplate it as it is at this point for people that are new to the channel, a contemplation of a concept. And I'm so grateful that you are taking a moment to receive that, and then the rippling effects of that will be determined by your truth teller. Because everything that we speak of will have an aha moment, and the feeling will determine the reality. And so what's most important is that is all emotions are a distraction. That's the starting point. All emotions are a distraction, and they are there to regulate and get you to separate. So even moreover, as Jade was talking about this, we're not asking you to be emotionless. No, what happens is those emotions are there to help you ascend to oneness, ultimate being. And how does that happen? Well, you know what you know, you don't know what you don't know. So it always starts with being able to identify what it is. If you're conscious 5%, which is an average, 95% unconscious, you're not going to be aware of the 95% of the programming that is operating your very reality. Now, when you can master your emotions and realize they are a manipulation and a deception, you're then able to now switch. What does that mean? It's like you have your personality, which is your expression of yourself in this lifetime, never to be denied, never to be dissolved, as it shouldn't be. Energy can never be created or destroyed. Understand that, know that to be true. We are all energy. So with that realization, the goal is not for the universe, the Tao, the three pure ones, to erase you off the planet within your experience. Your humanist experience is therefore the purpose of you experiencing heaven on earth, using this truth teller, this tuning fork, to realize what that is by the feeling. So when you have emotions and you understand what they are as in relation to mechanisms that are distractionary for the reason that you're supposed to be able to, through your own simulation, discern this is emotion, this is pure consciousness. And guess what? When you master the energy, you can very easily shift between the two. That's the mastery that we offer as a Taoist. That's the mastery that we offer over generations, over tens of thousands of years. And that's why we are second to none when it comes to the mastery of energy. The energetic body is activated, opening the gateway to the spiritual body, and all things are on. We have liftoff. Houston, we don't have a problem. We are go.
Yeah.
Thunderbirds are go.
I kind of look at it like cleaning out your closet. It's like you want to keep the stuff that makes you feel good. Oh, this is my favorite dress. Oh, this was my wedding suit. Oh, I love this memory. I graduated in this. And then it's like you want to get rid, but you also want to get rid of the stuff that like doesn't make you feel good. Oh, this is too tight, or oh, I grew out of this. This is too big. I feel ugly when I wear this. It's like, and you purge that, you get rid of that. And then you just have this beautiful closet. And when you go in it, you see all the things that make you happy. And that's kind of the same thing when you start to get rid of your emotions and realize you have a choice. It's like, hey, I don't like it when I'm really selfish and controlling and abusive to a certain person because they activate this in me. Okay, great. I can just get rid of it. I can take it off just like I take off my sweater and I donate it. And it's that simplistic when you think about it. It's like when you have garbage in your house, you don't just leave it there, you throw it out. It's like I keep the stuff I like, and then stuff that comes up that I realize I don't like or it doesn't have any value for me, I get rid of it. And it's like this is the same type of experience that you go through on a day-to-day basis with very physical things. You're just doing it on a mental, emotional, and energetic level. And all of a sudden, you just start to feel so good because everything you're looking around at is all things that you want, that give you a joyous feeling, a happy feeling, an excitement feeling, a great memory. And you're purging and letting go of all the rest of this, garbage or things that don't make you feel good.
It's a very good observation. Understanding that when we go through those three stages, once again, love, gratitude, moreover, acceptance being the highest ascension of awareness. It's about identifying that you can take it on and off, as Jade said, like a sweater, but it's not about wanting this stuff, because you get to a seamless level of selflessness that is acquired through the ascension and frequency. So what happens is it's not compelling that you have to determine. You just stay there. So you're not having to make a choice. You're replicating this high frequency due to your awareness, your consciousness, is what's creating the very reality that you're perceiving, which is your perception is the barometer of your reality, and it stems from your truth. And when you are in that state of acceptance, high level of consciousness, high frequency energy vibration, all things just ripple out. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, you're expansive, and it comes right back to what we talk about. If you are knowing, you are feeling, which gives you that register of knowing. So when you put your attention, intention to mastering the energy, and you maintain these high levels of ascension, consciousness, frequency, energy, vibration, you are all expansive. It's like everything is effortless. You don't have to think. You just feel. And the amount of abundance, because that's when you come to a realization you're abundant, timeless, endless, limitless, infinite, then all things are wu-wei, effortless action, effortless effort, realization that you are stillness. You are the breath in, the breath out. Between that, you are the wu-ji. You are the mother of all things. And with that means that the abundant amount of energy, information, frequency is all being handed to you, and you will know, you will feel it as the barometer. You will feel it when you put your attention, intention, and you are now back to this simulated emotions control me. Emotions are the sum of my life experience. Emotions are real, which is the distraction. And then you put them into effect and you let them roll out. And what that does is you take anger. Anger will draw right from your field, right from your liver channel, and it will transmute itself into this static haze of turmoil that is now put out into the field, that then will be replicated. And the replicating effect within the universe is that it draws from your field. So it's now going out there to find something equal to or greater than, which is, the old expression, be careful what you wish for, be careful what you're looking for, because you will find it. That is exactly what that expression means in a nutshell. And so that replication of that is critical. And you're like, I'm around that person, I feel drained. When I get angry, I'm really tired. Oh, that's right, shivering, bam. That chilling surge of energy that Jay just had was another realization. This is how simple it becomes, ladies and gentlemen and ladies. And your tuning fork, as it becomes a tune from the material of your simulation, whether you receive it from the Wave 126, whether you receive it from Jade and I from this podcast, whether you receive it from any other source, that realization will be second to none. Let me tell you this, know this to be true, and all things will be realized.
Yeah, and that's where you get to that real kind of mastery level where it's like it doesn't matter where you are, what's going on, the chaos behind you. I mean, you could be on a roller coaster and do a healing on someone, and it would still have the same effect as if you were sitting, in a temple or somewhere else. Mm-hmm. It's, you get to that point where everything kind of just, we always make the joke, like you're like Teflon. Nothing can stick to you. It just disappears, whatever it is, and you can instantly get into that state of manifestation, magic, healing, and regard whether there's loud music or it doesn't matter. You're there, you're in it.
And that is part of the power of you being the barometer. And so that consciousness ascension comes back to the foundational understanding of what emotions mean to you, and the very definition of their creation and their cycle within this incredible experience that we call the universe, that has simulated and generated, you know, these incredible planets, i.e. planet Earth, where we occupy that space, being an expression of humanness, and we are acquiring this level of consciousness. It's like a video game.
Yeah.
And that's how we are ascending. And when you realize, oh my goodness, the emotions are a detour. I'm not getting my points. I'm not getting as high as I want. I'm gobbling up these emotions, and I'm losing strength. I'm losing vitality. All these things are taking place. That's the beginning of it. But understand, it's designed for that purpose. And that means that if you are replicating it and you are sourcing that, and that is part of your construct of your reality, which is your truth, and your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with, then it will continue to pay it forward in relation to your limitation, in relation to your contraction, in relation to your expression of high consciousness. It will continue to get lower and lower and lower in its offering, in its vibration, in its transmutation. So understand that. And the fastest barometer of that is you can play in that space. Okay, emotions. Sifu's ridiculous. It's rubbish. All this stuff Jade and him are talking about is garbage. Go out, stub your toe, put your hand in a door frame, and get into a fight with your neighbor. And once you're done, let me know how that feels. Because I promise you, you will have lost a piece of yourself, because that's what this programming is for, to regulate that, to distract you, and to have you stuck in the programming. But it's also a double-edged sword, right? It's there to distract you, but once you realize it's there, oh, it's a powerful tool for you to put on the side and then express your true consciousness, which is elevated at its highest level. That's when it's on like Donkey Kong, ladies and gentlemen.
And I think it's important to going through this to a lot of people want to say like, oh, I'm not angry, or I am a good person, you know, and it's not about the saying it. It's about just feeling it and going through it and realize you don't have to say, oh, I'm not going to be angry anymore. When you have an experience, it'll just happen. You just aren't. Like, you just aren't reactive, or something that would make you really upset doesn't make you upset. So I think there is a little bit of people want to tell themselves they're not a certain way. And then also realizing the difference of just being, and just, you won't have that reaction anymore. And truly healing from this is being accountable. And now that you have that understanding of your emotions, you can start deciphering what's valuable and what's not. It's not about suppressing and saying, okay, from here on out, I'm going to be the perfect person. I'm never going to react. I'm never going to be emotional. I'm never going to let something get me upset. It's like, you just keep, like I said, taking a little bit of garbage out. I don't want this, throwing this out, throwing this out. And by the time you look at it, your space is completely clean, and you're not telling yourself there's no garbage when you're staring at a pile that's, 25 feet high, just because you're like, hey, I'm this. It's the feeling, and you'll start to feel it very naturally, very in the flow.
And that's why we absolutely reiterate over and over again. This is something that has been validated, has been replicated, has been cultivated for thousands of years, tens of thousands of years from a Taoist perspective. So we cut right to the chase. Mm-hmm. We're able to give you sound-tested, battle-proven, like, access to a high level of ascension almost instantaneously, using something as, what someone would seem unassuming, like an app, where people go, oh, it's an app, it can't do that. Oh, ooh. I thought I had to take all these external outside sort of influence of energy, i.e. other things that may not be created internally, to simulate this experience, and it's inside me. Yeah. And it's always like that. It's like the unassuming is right there in front of you. The most profound, powerful answer and access point to whatever you're looking for is here. And people will dismiss it. They'll chase around for it. They'll travel the world. I have people that go to the ends of the world to find someone that can teach them a mastery of internal alchemy. And when they finally, their guides, guardians, and angels, however they are accessing information, end up on Taoist Master San Quinn's doorstep, it's for that very reason. And then the mastery of the internal alchemy is like replicating an inner working of your attention intention to move the energy, the 50 trillion cells within your physical body that hold within each cell 50 trillion atoms. That's a lot. Right down to the nucleus, which is the black hole energy, validated right down to a proton, a photon, subatomic particles that cannot be seen with the naked eye. Coming to this realization is when it's Thunderbirds are go. Dun, dun, dun. Robot. It was funny the other day. I was watching TV, flicking through it, and I don't say I'm a fan of that. I mean, 80s is my bag, baby. But 90s it's aight. It's cool. It's aight. Anyway, so I'm clicking through and boom, Vanilla Ice's blah, blah, blah. His reaction 30 years later to Ice Ice Baby. I'm like, oh, let me watch this. When did you realize you plagiarized someone else's chorus? And strangely enough, I said, I was thinking that. And not soon into the song, he was like, oh, this is where, when you make millions and millions, and he validated, it was like, this particular album is the most selling album in rap history. It sold in excess of 500 million copies.
Wow.
And when you make that type of money, people come knocking. So,
Yeah.
i.e., I got sued by David Bowie, i.e., I got sued by Queen. So it was like, it was inevitable that there was going to be an arising, but also understand this, when you work at the model that we're talking about, that was his manifestation, bracing himself for something that was being realized because he had created that signature, put it into the field, and that was materialized that way. So always remember, things on face value are manifested and generated and created instantaneously.
Yeah. But I also think it's a manifestation the other way too. The fact that, he kind of surpassed this one-hit wonder and is still recognizable and idolized,
I kid you,
what, 30 years later?
I kid you not. I mean, one-hit wonder, first of all, he wants to make it very clear, because I thought that, and then within the video, he goes, I'm not a one-hit wonder. I just want everyone to know I had 7 or 8 hits, and he went through them all, Funky, Cold Medina, whatever. Play that funky music, that's right. And then he goes on to explain that revenue-wise, he's still selling to this day, right now in 2023, he's still selling anywhere upward of 4 million copies of that album. It's blowing my mind. I'm like, artists wish that they could ever accomplish that type of recognition once, potentially, sell 3 or 4 million copies once. The idea that he's selling that 30 years later after he's finished creating the material and it's still paying him forward is another testament to how powerful his consciousness is and his manifestation and belief system.
And how it resonates
Right.
with people too.
And that's why, if you ever watch this, Vanilla, I've already reached out to you. Come on in, my friend. I would love to have you on the podcast, and we could speak much deeper into this level of consciousness and how you materialized and manifested your reality. And now you're doing something completely different that may have been something in that was deep within your heart as something that you valued. But the idea you're remodeling homes, that would be so weird. And it was weird when I realized that's exactly what you do, and you've made a massive, very successful career out of it. Little did I know, I just assumed you were doing, like the moonwalk with the Ninja Turtles back in the 90s still. I had no idea you had created this whole new reality. Moreover, to you, hands down, profound levels of manifestation. So that's just a reach out. And be very aware, my friend. I've already set the space in the manifestation. So don't be surprised if you get this great idea of going, I need to get on a podcast, a consciousness podcast. I have no, oh, where did that message come from? Oh, I think I might have to do that because I want to share my message with the world.
It's a powerful one. It's an inspiring one as well.
Oh, yeah, it is. And that's something that Jade and I love to witness, and we bear witness to it all the time, is the transfer of the humanist into, expansion, consciousness, wading through that limiter, wading through that homeostasis regulator that is your emotions, being able to decipher that, get it to sit, master it, and then redefine it with those 3 stages of ascension, which is love, gratitude, and ultimately acceptance, which is all things, which would then be on the same programming that Lao Tzu teaches us with concept, consciousness, knowing, unconscious knowing, and then being, which is then also layered into a parallel because we like to put things in little movers and shakers. Taoists always put these parts all over the place, and it's like you've got to find these puzzle pieces. And we're just deciphering it, Jade and I, and we're taking this ancient stuff and we're just making it very, basically, very digestible, very easy to assess and to assimilate. And that's with direct information from my teachers that are like, it's time to remove the veil of, this complexity that has been put on it from the Taoist practices and make it accessible to all people, all things, all place, person, and things. Realize that everything has energy, frequency, vibration. Everything has a spirit. Everything has information. Everything has energy, all realized in a thought, feeling, and emotion. Booyah.
And it's just like a training, just like anything else. I mean, I was watching this video the other day with the kids where it was like a woman, her job is she goes and like cleans out like beehives from, if they get in your trash can or your roof or something. And it's like, and my son was like, isn't she scared? Like she's going to get like bit or stung by a bee? And I was like, no, she has no fear. I mean, she loves what she does. And going into that simulation with that mindset and her manifestation, she doesn't ever, she didn't have like a suit or the net or anything. She just goes in, she finds a queen. She's very gentle. You can just see the energy transfer. And it's like most people would look at a situation like that and, freak out or let their emotions kind of run that thought process, whereas she's within it and been and mastered that skill that in that particular moment, in that situation that most people find very fearful or apprehensive to, she is as calm as anything, literally almost meditating, just the bees are all over her arms. And it's like, and, people go, do you ever get stung? And she's like, no, this is, I just tap into it. And that's how, regulated and mastered you can be at your emotions, no matter what the situation is or what the event is. It's like that training, once you do it, you're just at one with everything. You just flow with everything. You are in the flow.
Amen to that. And so, flow like water.
That's
my
right.
friend. Now, I just impersonated Bruce Lee, a really bad one, but understand that, he encapsulated the very essence and understanding of Tao. And that's what he was resonating with, and that's what he was practicing in many different expressions of that internal alchemy, other things of that nature, martial form and whatnot. But water is elusive. Water is all things. Water goes where no man will go, and that's right from the scripture.
Yeah.
Realizing that you are water, water is you, and
Well,
validating it.
Isn't it funny how just scientifically we're made up of 70% water? Our
Oh,
bodies are.
of course, there is no coincidence,
No coincidence.
right? And understanding that, it's so pliable, not that we need a validation of the scientific community to validate that. That's been something, that's why people are like, oh my goodness, how is it possible? All this information. I mean, listen, recently I had on the podcast one of my students, and he went through, and his son went through and has a PhD in studying his experiment right as we speak right now is discovering the inner code, the binary code, the understanding of what's within a cell, looking for this energy. And he revealed that within a cell itself, within the nucleus, is what we call black hole energy. Now, this is something that Taoists have known about for tens of thousands of years. And how could you know that if you don't have a computer? How could you know it if you don't have a PhD? How could you know it if you don't have the ability to study a cell at a level that's so microscopic that you're able to see the actual mechanisms that make up that exact molecule at a subatomic level? Because when you're all knowing, you're all knowing. You know what you know, you don't know what you don't know. So access to information is second to none. Realize that, know that to be true. When that comes in, blammo, it's on like Donkey Kong. That's when we get down to the get down.
Yeah, and that information just comes to you when you're ready to accept it or heal it, or you might go back to it and go, wow, I heard that 5 years ago and it didn't mean anything, but today, wow, it again, getting back to that perspective. When you open your consciousness, you change your perspective on everything, and you start looking at things a little bit differently and realizing that, oh wow, yeah, I didn't catch that the first time or the second or even the 100th time, but all of a sudden that resonation just hit me here, truth teller, and I am aware now.
Yeah. And that's that validation that we speak of within Taoism that goes deep into this, and then the layered effects of that, and the mechanisms, the practices that we go to evoking the red phoenix from the black hole energy, and then what that does in evoking the sacred infinite garden, the sacred infinite flower, and moreover the magnetic pulsation from your middle dantian, which is also referred to as the earth within Taoism, and the parallel effects of it being a mirroring of the earth itself. So as it shifts, as it changes, so will you on that molecular level, understanding that you are the universe is you, i.e. reference to the cellular deconstruction and what's within that nucleus, understanding that it is this 0 point energy that we speak of, the wormhole, the black hole energy that is infinite, and that is part of the inner workings of the entanglement that is the quantum model that is all things. So there's no space between us here. It's just filled with infinite amount of dots of this black hole energy, which is the dot to dot that's necessary to create the entanglement so that we can transfer energy, information, vibration anywhere. Whether you're here, I'm over there, all these things are being replicated instantaneously, and I don't have to be in the same space, the same room, and it all happens immediately.
And that's what happens when you master your emotions. You're able to tap into that coherence instantly, that synergy, that flow, and you just flip it on like a switch and go, hey, I'm ready to heal. Flip, okay, I'm in there. I'm ready to do that. I'm not, processing the fact that, someone just rear-ended my car, or, I haven't paid my bills this month, or, my girlfriend just broke up with me. It's like, nope, it's just a switch. I flip it on and I am straight in the field. I am the field.
You are the field is you. And so I think we went really deep on layered mechanisms of consciousness from a Taoist perspective, because everything is related to the dilution, the dissolution, the dissolving of this polarizing opposites attract, this representation of duality,
Yeah.
which is the simulation of humanness. And once you step beyond that, it's like you switch the consciousness dial and you go from yin and yang, as we always talk about our realization of what this duality is. It's two sides of a mountain. One is yin, one is yang. They merge together at the top, creating the dissolving of duality, creating a place of being all things, which is then also the pillar and mechanism starting from love to gratitude to acceptance, which is that immersion. And that immersion of that is where you start to have the secret sauce, and you're able to do things from a 5D reality within this 3D reality, and that will be identified and validated by your experience. And that's the profound part, because it is tangible. And how do you validate that? Through the feeling. That is the knowing of your experience. All things, baby.
Yeah. And if anyone's going, oh, that sounds so great, I just don't know how to do it. That's why we've created an app for you. Takes all the thinking out of it, puts you in a knowing, puts you in a feeling, and you will start validating that. Like I said, all of a sudden, that trash just starts disappearing, and you start looking at this room going, oh, I like everything in here. I'm not looking at, stuff I don't like, stuff that doesn't work, stuff that makes me feel a certain way. Everything looks amazing. And that all comes, with the practice of the way 126 as well.
And that is the truth. And so, with that said, my goodness, we wrapped around the fundamentals of what is really profound. And this is raising our consciousness. These are pillars of Taoism. And they're also great stepping stones for anyone that may be stumbling across this for the first time, or is an OG to the material and just got another perspective of their perception of their reality. But know this, you are going to be all-knowing. It is only a matter of this. And because you are accessing this information through this platform, it is having a neurological effect on you, and that's why it's so powerful, because it is being replicated. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. When you realize that, you realize that from the feeling, which is the knowing, all things shift and change, baby. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, with that said, my goodness, do you have any closing words, emotions and feelings that you want to share with the audience?
I think it's just everything is important. And I think sometimes even just reiterating, very simplistic things in a different way, all just validate your experience, whether you're going through it for the first time, whether you're, listening to it for the 100th time or the 1,000th time. It's all a level up for you. And it isn't, it's not a race, it's a level up. And so you're going through it at your pace, at your speed, at your own experience. And it isn't to be like, sometimes we get people and they're like, oh, I feel so much better. When am I going to get the next thing? I want to, keep leveling up in this thing. And it like, the more you let it happen naturally, the more it will happen naturally, the more it happens. And it's like, wanting to acquire, you get very excited and you're like, I want to learn something new, and I want to heal someone, I want to do something else. And it's like the more you just kind of let it flow, the more it'll just stay with you. And you turn around and you look back at your life, 6 months from now and go, oh my goodness, I don't even recognize that person, or who was that person, or how was I even that person, or how amazing is my life right now, and everything just flows. That is the ultimate.
The ultimate. And so, on that note, we will leave you with a very, very simplistic exercise that will attune you, whether you're an OG or a newcomer to this platform, to the material, to Jade and I. First and foremost, we want to thank you for your time that you share with us. But this is a very simplistic thing, and just me talking about it, yes, all of a sudden the amplification. They don't call me the Sifu for nothing. Yes, you're feeling and sensing your sensory perception being elevated, whether you are consciously doing it or unconsciously. There is an amplitude of energy, frequency, vibration that is taking place in this space right now. You're welcome. Now, let's just say you are going to breathe in gold, breathe in silver, and breathe in platinum. And basically, by me speaking the words, the spirit and energy, frequency, vibration is present instantaneously. So the exercise will go like this. I will say, bring in the spirit and energy, welcoming the spirit and energy of platinum. And you will just draw that energy in, 3 short sips through your nose, and then 3 long exhales. And on the last one, you will hold it for 9 seconds. So this cycle is going to go through platinum, go through gold, go through silver. For anyone that wants a heads up, quick crash course, that is the upper dantian, middle dantian, lower dantian, activating your sensory perception to a heightened level. For someone who's never experienced it, you are going to never leave home because you're super excited about this new level of ascension. And for all the others, that's the same thing that's going to happen to you, because that's what happens. This gratitude that we appreciate, as we were talking about these stages, love, gratitude, acceptance, that's on the path to this true essence of consciousness. And that it really does. The gratitude is that seed. And so every second I wake up, I am grateful for the first, as if it's the first moment of my experience. This is the profound part of being attuned to these frequencies. The sensory perception is what takes place. So, for all the people that want to come on this journey with Jade and I would beg you to take a moment. You can shut off a sense or add one. Most people tend to close their eyes to just, as I would say, and use this as an example because these are powerful words, right? You're going to drop in. There you go. How's that feel? You're welcome. Now, dropping in, as we have just ascertained through the linguistics, the power of these words that I just spoke, have put you into a state, a very expansive, grounded state. That drop of energy that felt like a hair dryer blowing moment is going to expand. And now I'm going to call in those 3, platinum, gold, and silver, and we're going to conduct our respiration the same way that I spoke of, knowing that on the last exhale, you will hold it for 9 seconds, then we will move on to the next spirit and energy, and so forth and so on. And at the end, you'll be able to sit in this space with a new sensory perception and awareness that is compliments of you and your realization you are the field is you. So again, thank you, my friends. And let's go ahead and light you up, because we are verging on Christmas. So, I would like to call in and welcome the spirit and energy of platinum. Hold. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. I would like to call in and welcome the spirit and energy of gold. Hold. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. And finally, I would like to welcome the spirit and energy of silver. Hold. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. This heightened sensory perception that you are experiencing is of your making. You took the light, information, and energy that I projected to the field. You assimilated it, you transmuted it, and translated it into the experience that you are having right now. The power of the chi, the 0-point energy, the oneness, the ultimate, the being that is the Tao, Wu Ji, all things. Wu Wei, effortless action. Let that be expansive, my child, as you listen to this. The words extrapolate, elevate, expand your very experience right now. Allow yourself to be the amber of the cigarette that we speak of. Your very respiration will amplify the sensitivity that you're experiencing within your expression of consciousness. For those who hear my voice in a distance, envelop that and allow that, receive that. For those that are more within this experience and a different amplitude that is a louder representation of my voice, allow that, experience that, enjoy that. And on that note, I am your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Quinn, and I will see you on the next one, guys.